Good evening, White Sox fans, and welcome to the latest edition of Future Sox Hot Takes and Heaters. My name is Danny Miller. As always, my co host is Jacob Thome, and tonight is Wednesday, January the 14th. Due to some unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances, we were unable to go last week. So, this is actually our first show of the new year. And we're just happy that you guys can be here with us to share in the newest of White Sox happenings. How you doing tonight, Jacob?
Hanging in there. No complaints. Yeah, just enjoying the new year.
Yeah, me too, man. We're having a bit of a cold snap here again, which surprise, surprise, it is January. And I know this is a White Sox podcast, but the talk of the town right now here in Chicago is the Bears and their upcoming stint against the Los Angeles Rams. So the big thing is right now is bear weather, right? And we're hearing a lot of that talk. But man, I don't know about you, dude, but let the Bears have that weather, brother. I walked outside this morning, man. It was like sleeting and blowing snow, and it was just an absolute mess. It was disgusting.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a dirty secret for everybody. I am a Packer fan. And
Oh, you are
Danny's
not
been
the only
off
one
the show.
here and at Future Sox, so
Oh,
I
that's
won't.
good to hear.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know if anybody else on that, but I'll come
before
on.
anybody talks any crap, I mean our buddy Ian is a big Packer fan as well too. And the reason I say before anybody talks bad is just remember that guy is responsible for all of the probably actually the most comprehensive video catalog of the minor league affiliates. You're not going to be able to find any more video on the minor league affiliates unless, of course, you sit back and watch four minor league baseball games every day. So, we love Ian for that. Whether you're Packers fans or not, looks like we have some Packer fans in the chat, but yeah, man, it is what it is, dude. I'm not gonna sit here and rub it in people's faces. I get enough of that on social media. I'm part of a crap talking group, which has been absolutely awesome.
That's got to be fun.
Oh, well, I mean, yes and no.
Listen, winning's fun. I'm not. Listen, I've taken plenty this week, and I get it. Listen, when we were winning, we were dealing it out. I can take it. That's how this
Yeah.
works.
Well, let me just be the first one to say this though. Like, so there are those fans who just like to chirp and chirp and chirp and chirp and chirp, and those are the ones I give it to. But the honest reality is man, we have been living in football hell here in Chicago for a long time. Even when we have a good team, we can't seem to get past the first round of the playoffs. And I don't particularly like to rub it in on the folks that have been good about it, but the ones that have been bad about it can eat shit. And they're
I
getting
get that. I
they're
get
getting
that.
What's up, Toss? Good to see you, buddy. But yeah, man. Other than that, I just wanted to throw that out there. Obviously, this is again a White Sox podcast, but you know, we're pretty happy about what's going on here. As long as you're a Bear fan and not a Packer fan, so I forgive you for being semi. Well, I won't say that word on here, but if you want to be a window licker, go ahead and be a window licker.
Made
Anywho,
my decision when I was like 10. To be fair, I wasn't like a bandwagon or anything like that. I
oh,
made my
no,
decision when I was young and stuck with it, and
it's all good, brother.
probably made the right decision.
It's all
But
good. I'm
yeah,
just yanking your chain, man. Like I said, I'm not here to talk crap all night. Um, but you know, we are actually in a little bit of a doldrum, a winter doldrum here in the world of the White Sox. Obviously, all the the top 30 lists have come out recently, and everybody's put out their idea of what the White Sox top 30 prospects look like. I have yet to find one that I am in 100% agreement on. There are a couple that are close. I'm not going to run down that list because obviously First of all, this is the MLB centric show,
Yeah,
Future Sox, which is generally a prospect driven site. But I let our prospect guys do the heavy lifting on that end. And I will say this: I have seen some of those guys, those lists, and they're some of the ones that are probably the closest to what I would agree on. Everybody and their brother seems to be putting a list out right now, and some of them I literally just shake my head like, what? Where are you getting your information from? Obviously, you're not subscribed to Future Sox. Uh, you know, and then
yeah.
there's that from some pretty knowledgeable guys out there that do this kind of thing fairly regularly, and those are a lot closer. So, uh, again, I won't get into it, but maybe one of these days I'll take the time to put my list together and see what people have to say.
My list would be horrible. I'm not a prospect guy at all. It would be bad. I would get a lot of disagreements.
Yeah, yeah, I don't claim to know everything. You know what I mean? Like I'm just a guy doing a podcast uh, here, but thanks to some of the guys around here, especially Ian, and all the years that he and I worked together before coming over to Future Sox, I spent a lot more time paying attention to that stuff. So I'm probably a little bit further ahead than I ever was before. But again, I don't claim to know anywhere near as much as those guys. So I just leave that up to them.
Same
We got
here.
a couple comments. Good to see you, Wolf. Thanks for checking in. Tossed is talking about Tucker getting signed either tomorrow or by the weekend, and he's not sure if he likes the Ranger Suarez to the Red Sox. I don't know honestly
It's a
how I
weird
feel
signing.
about that. What's that?
So it's a weird signing, but
Yeah,
it's weird that they
yeah.
went rotation over a bat. That's my thought about it. But
I get the feeling they're not done, and I think that's probably why they're doing what they're doing. And maybe they have some moves up their sleeves. Maybe they're planning on making some trades. I don't know. They're definitely looking to contend a little bit more than they had the last you know
yeah,
recent times. Obviously, I think they want to they have a window that's pretty much open right now, and in a division that a lot of people think is takeable. So it seems to kind of go back and forth between the three teams over there, and I don't know what their plan is, but I can't be mad at them. Obviously, every the old saying is you can't have enough pitching, right?
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Toss wants to know who created Future Sox originally. And I'm not exactly sure, but I know Mike Rankin has been around. He's basically like he's still an emeritus around here. His status. He'll still hop on and do a show with some of our guys every now and again. He might throw a list of his own out there every here and there. But he was around for a long, long, long time. Future Sox started out as a blog long before there was ever any podcasts or vlogs or anything like that around. Mike and a couple other guys were writing for quite a few years. So it's I want to say probably in the neighborhood of close to 20 years now that it's actually been a thing. But it has grown exponentially probably over the last 5 or 6 years here or so, or maybe during the last Rick Hahn rebuild. But yeah, Mike's one of those guys who's just he's got a myriad of information. He's a big prospect guy and really knows his stuff. So, when he does come out with stuff, keep an eye open for that. And, we always try to highlight it around here as well, too. So, I mean, so the big focus of the offseason, like I said, we're in that winter doldrum right now. For the White Sox, we could talk about the Moon signing, which we've done. And we could talk about, some of the other moves. But right now, I think I want to focus on what's left. What's still available? What are the White Sox still? What are the holes they need to fill? And what would make you feel more comfortable going into the regular season? We're actually less than a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting. I believe they report on February 10th.
27 days.
And yeah, and then just a few days later, you get the position players and coming in. So there's some holes, and I would like to see at least, obviously there's going to be some competition for some of those holes. For guys making their way up, some of the non-roster invitees that are going to be coming through. But you know, there's some things that the White Sox need to focus on right now, and I think that's what we're going to focus on today's show.
Agree.
So,
Yeah.
so let's pardon me. And I'm sorry, I'm getting over a little something something here, or maybe I'm just hanging with it. I don't know, but I apologize. Jake, where do you want to start first? You want to start with position players, or you want to look at pitching first?
Either or.
Well, you know what? Let's do this. The chat is bringing up some pictures right now, so why don't we start there?
Yeah, that works with me.
I think it's probably going to be a good idea for the White Sox to sign at least one more starting pitcher. And the reason I say this is because, obviously they keep force feeding us this idea that Sean Newcomb is going to get a real shot at the rotation this year. And I personally am not sure that's the best route. We've kind of talked about it a bit on this show. I've seen it talked about on social media. And a lot of people don't believe it. Sean has gone on multiple shows, podcasts, and talked about what his expectations are. And even with him and all these experts talking about it, a lot of people are just not buying it, right? And my thought is even if the White Sox fully expect to give him this shot at the rotation, and they start the season with him as a rotation piece, as a starting pitcher, you got to have a backup plan if it doesn't work out. Obviously, they're probably, if it doesn't work out with him, my first thought is they're going to shift him to the bullpen where he's been the most comfortable the last few years. And in that case, we cannot expect the guys that we already have in our system with all the injuries that have taken place over the last year and a half or so, and guys going through Tommy John surgeries and major injury issues, to come back fully healthy and ready to go at the beginning of the year. So you've got to have an insurance policy. I said it earlier in the show that you can never have too much pitching.
Yeah.
So, of what's available out there, do you, sir, have a target or two that you would like the White Sox to focus on?
I mean, I think Bassett's been floated around in the chat. I don't hate that. I think he's going to go for a contender, though. Um, Starting pitching's not cheap, and they've already added Anthony Kay. I don't know what the next option is. I mean, there's still an interesting group of free agents available. Um, but it's going to kind of, starting pitchers, a weird one. And the pitching staff as a whole is an interesting one just because of, nobody knows kind of the Tommy John guys. Like if Drew Thorpe is ready to go and some of these other starters, I mean, Kai Bush can give you innings. If they're ready to go off the jump, then I don't know if you need to sign a starter. If they're not, then I think you do. So it's going to kind of depend. And that goes for the bullpen as well. Like if Burrow is ready to go, if we just mentioned Kai Bush, who also could pitch out of the bullpen. I mean, if some of these guys are ready to go, that limits what you need. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the rotation. Again, I do believe that there are some interesting names available. It just kind of depends on what the Sox want and where the health is in their organization.
Yeah, and I just wanted to. So in the chat here, Wolf actually asks if Brandon Woodruff is available. He is not. He did take a qualifying offer in Milwaukee back, I don't know, like middle of November, I want to say. So he's out. Bassett, I like the idea of Bassett, but to be honest with you, I mean, there's a handful of guys that are kind of intriguing to me. And I know I'm probably going to get some ire for this one, but I'm cool with bringing back Eric Fetty.
He was
He's
a
gonna
name.
he's gonna come cheap. He's got some familiarity with the system, with the coaching staff here. Although actually, there's been some turnover since he's last been with the White Sox. Uh, but he's he had a little bit of a regression last year after leaving the White Sox, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, he was still like over, like, I want to say like 3.5 WAR, which you could do worse for a guy who's 32 years old. But he's not going to be seeking a big contract, and I think it's a guy who it can give you some innings, right?
Yeah.
If we're especially if we're looking at giving some of these guys coming back from injury an opportunity. I think if you can get the most out of Eric Fetty for a few months early on in the season, you might be able to turn him into another trade piece at the end of at the deadline as well too.
Yeah, there's some other names as well. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to reunionize. That's not a word. With a former White Sox, like you just mentioned Fetty, but like Quintana makes a lot of sense. Martin Perez, I could see coming back. He pitched at the end of the year. Obviously, he had a great start to the season for the Sox last year. And there's some other interesting names. Like, I don't know if Nestor Cortez does anything for anybody in the big old year of 2026, but like he's out there. Herman Marquez is out there. So um, there are some flyer starting pitchers that I think, Griffin Canning's another name that has been floated in
Yeah,
Sox talks. That's kind of towards the bottom. So,
I wanted to get into that too. I'm glad you brought that name up, but continue. We'll get into it in just a second.
I mean, like, and then there's like Marcus Stroman would be kind of interesting. I don't know. Like, he's really bad, but like could be fun.
He's also not well liked.
Yeah, I don't know how much he likes the city of Chicago either. He was not a good Cub, and he might not want to come back. But like that's kind of my thought is like there's some interesting guys that like are potential flyers. Kopech, that was a joke. Nobody get on me. Um, but yeah, we'll see.
So yeah, I mean, we could talk. There's a lot of pitching still available, right? I know everybody and their brother prefers a left-hander. That's great, but that Griffin Canning has been brought up a lot lately. And see, now there's a name, and I'm gonna stop what I was saying for just a second because Wolf brings up Littell, and that's a name that's been floated a lot around the White Sox. I think if Chris Getz is doing his due diligence with all of his coordinators and coaches that he's got, at his disposal now, I think that's probably a guy that they're at least looking at, right?
Yeah,
I think it's an option. I think it's a guy who, again, if he does well, you can probably flip. You might be able to sign him for 2 years and flip him in the middle of the season next year. I don't really know, but the reason I say that is because now that kind of piggybacks into the whole Griffin Canning conversation. And my thing is Griffin Canning is coming off of an Achilles, right? And it's my understanding that it's a full rupture.
yeah,
Full rupture in like June, like late June. To me, they say like, depending on the grade of the tear, it can be 6 to 9 months. But when we're talking full rupture, it's usually in the neighborhood of 9 to 12 months. Do we really want to bring in a guy who might not be ready to even be close to starting spring training? I don't know. I haven't really heard, where he's at in his rehab. I haven't been able to find that, but it scares me. Like we've already got a whole laundry list of pitchers returning from some pretty serious injuries, and Achilles is no joke.
there's 9 of them with Tommy John. Yeah, yeah. I think it's come out that he would be like 80% for the start of spring training, but I don't know. I don't know. There's just a ton of like bottom feeders starting pitching, and the issue. So like Littell, like he might get $10 million a year. Like I don't know what the Sox have to spend. I think they've spent a majority of their budget. I just don't. That's why a guy like Jose Quintana, who's Eric Fetty, Canning, I think will be pretty cheap. Perez is probably pretty cheap. Like unfortunately, I think we have to understand that when they went out and made the contract with Mune, like that took up a large sum of money plus the K deal, which was 7 million. Like I just don't think there's a ton of money left to spend. I mean, I think they're at their limit, if not close to it. They might have like $6 to $7 million left in the tank. to get
Yeah,
going. So
what is their overall payroll at right now? Do you know?
I do not.
I have not looked it up,
I
but
think it's a lot higher than it was last year.
I think so the reports I've heard recently are between 70 and 90 mil is what the number is going to come out. I believe Sean Anderson put something out recently, and he's typically a guy that has got some decent information. He's got some sources, gets his word on from somewhere, and I think he was saying that they're going to top out between 70 and 90 somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a few days since I saw that, but yeah, I don't really know.
87 is what
They're at
Fangraphs is at.
they're at 87 right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, we might not you might not be able to expect much if that's the
Right,
case.
like that's the thing. Like they went all in on Monet, which is good. Like that was a great sign, and like that
Oh,
is
absolutely
what
huge.
they should be doing. It's just I don't think like Woodruff. Like I just don't think they have the money to go out, and they should. They're in a top five market. Like that's a thing that's annoying, and Jerry's still the owner, and it hopefully won't be like that for long. But like it is. So as long as Jerry's the one signing the checks, I just don't think you're going to be able to spend a whole lot.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. As Sox fans, we should probably be used to this by now. You know, and you can say in years past that it was much higher, but the payroll has been spent unwisely when it is spent, and then when it comes time, like now, where you might have some room to spend a little bit. I think you probably hit the nail on the head a few weeks ago when we talked about the White Sox making moves in December, and we're not typically used to seeing that, like i.e. the Moon move,
Yeah,
and the K move. Like you don't typically see the White Sox spending, you know, bigger dollars for them at that time of year, other than the possibility that this is just a way for them to have some firepower going into the CBA, saying, you know what, we don't need a floor. We don't
yeah,
need a salary floor because look, we're doing it. We're spending the money, but we're not going to go much over 80, 90 million, right?
yeah.
Which is kind of what the expected floor that has been tossed around out there is going to be right around the 90 million mark, is from what the whispers are. So like it just feels like that's kind of what's going on right now, and you just got to think that they're going to do the bare minimum until whenever it is that they're either turning the corner on real competition, or you're probably not going to see it until after the CBA, and we know those details of that. And then beyond that, who knows what happens with Ishbia, right?
Yeah, that's the big question mark is Ishbia. But yeah, I just don't think they're going out and spending another $10 million per year on a starting pitch. And starting pitching is not cheap, like at all. It's very expensive. And so I
No, a
mean
couple
that's
of those
why
names we threw around, you could probably get for 2 million, maybe even slightly under.
right like and that's where I think like Fetty, Quintana, like those guys file in. The other issue with that though is like you have to convince those guys to come to a rebuilding team for very cheap. Like that's not an easy convince. So we'll see. Can McDougal see? Yeah, I mean, and that's the thought, right? Like Noah's going to have a chance. I think he was in AAA last year to end the year. He should have a chance out of camp. Tanner's going to have a chance out of camp. Again, they have all these guys coming off of Tommy John. Like, what does Drew Thorpe look like? He probably goes and starts the year in Charlotte. But like Tanner's either going to be the 5 or the 6. Like he's either going to start the year in Charlotte and be the first guy up, or he's going to be there at 5. Because you start looking at like what is the current Sox rotation. I think it'd be Shane Smith, Kay, and then Burke, Martin. Who am I missing? Cannon. I'm missing somebody. But who's the name I'm missing?
Yeah. Wow.
Am I not missing somebody?
I need a
Shit, I should
nap.
have it if I am. I know. I have like the roster in my. I have this all planned out somewhere.
I'm telling you, it's the last couple weeks has been rough, and I'll just leave it at that. By the way, screw it. While we're here, I should just say this: if you guys have a friend that's going through some stuff, and maybe they're too big of a man to talk about it, just reach out and check it up on them, and I'll leave it at that. I lost a friend recently, and not saying that had anything to do with us missing any of these shows, but yeah, we lost a good one.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Going through some things. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, um, let me pull up that roster real quick because I am losing my mind trying to think about this.
No, I'm pretty sure I have it. I think it's your current 5 is Smith, K, Burke, Cannon, Martin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so like McDougal doesn't have a very high bar to clear.
No, he does not. And to be honest with you, I thought maybe he would have been a late season call up last year, and that didn't materialize. I think we're looking at guys like Mason Adams should be pretty close on his rehab. But I'm gonna guess that they're probably gonna give him a little bit of time in Charlotte before depending on if he comes out throwing in spring. If he's ready, if he's healthy, he's a guy who could potentially, make his way onto the roster. I mean, there's a whole list. Like you said, there's 9 guys coming back that have missed last season due to Tommy John. That's substantial, right?
Yeah, and a lot of those guys were close to MLB.
That's the thing. The large majority of that was close to the MLB. But again, I started this whole segment with the fact that you can't rely on those guys being ready.
Right.
They have not seen real game competition in over a year. And spring training, as fun as that is not the same as, once we get into opening day and beyond. And we've seen that a million times before where guys look like world beaters in spring. And as soon as we get into the regular season, everything changes. Right.
Shout out Brandon Drury.
So, right, exactly.
Who was the other one last year who blew up?
There's a few.
Former Mariners pitcher.
But, it happens every year. It happens every year. So, it is what it is. I don't want to get – I don't want to get my hopes up just to be let down.
Yeah.
Right? The whole thing is there's got to be a backup plan for all of this. You got anything you want to add on the pitching side?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, like we've talked about, like if the Sox are going to go into the season with Cannon, Burke, and Martin as your final 3, like something has to change there. And like I said, Noah Schultz is interesting. And Tanner's interesting, and they're gonna probably get Hagen this year. So, and there's a lot of like weird prospects in the back end too. Like, what does Gage Zeal do for you? What does like Ira Uriarte do for you? Like, I don't know. What does Jetison Paez do for you? Like, there's some other interesting arms that are up there, and Jamie alludes to that as well in the comments. Like in August, if Hagen, Noah, and Tanner are pitching, like that's a totally different rotation.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Now you've gotten another. From today, you've got another 6 months, 7 months under your belt for guys to rehab and get ready to go. The guys that have been working for, close to a year now on getting ready to go. And now they've got another few months under their belt. And, of course, these guys are going to need to get stretched out and whatnot, and innings are going to need to be eaten by somebody. And then there is, of course, the trade deadline. If the White Sox do start flipping players for, whatever they can get at the trade deadline, now we're going to see some pieces moving around there as well, too. So, yeah, I have to agree with what Jamie says. August pitching is definitely going to be when things get interesting, for sure.
Yeah. Sox have a fun setup where, like, they have a bunch of decent prospects, and they all kind of are staggered on ETA. Like, it seems like every year for the next, 5 years we'll have an interesting, group of prospects that's going to be moved up.
Absolutely. With the new developmental team in place, the White Sox, that's the one place they don't struggle at is pitching development. They really haven't for a long time, and now it seems like they're even in a better situation than they have been in the past. kind of makes you feel like pitching wise, they're going to be okay if they can limit the injuries, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting for some time to come. No doubt about that. Let's move on to, well, I mean, the most obvious is going to be outfield, particularly
Yeah.
right field, right? We know that the White Sox signed Jared Kelenic to a minor league deal and is a non-roster invite to spring training. And he's been boasting about fixing his swing mechanics, and he can't wait to get out there and show the White Sox what he's capable of doing, and if he's gonna come back to his top-rated prospect status, and be the guy that everybody thought he could be. So he's going to be fighting for a position out there. But again, I feel like there's not a lot outside of like Braden Montgomery. There's not a ton of outfield prospects in the system, or even guys that are close that can really fight for that spot. So, what say you, sir, on the search for an additional outfielder?
So the perfect outfielder would be Nick Castellanos. Not going to happen. Um, Talkman still makes like way too much sense to me. I bring up Castellanos because the stuff has come out that the Phillies need to dump payroll to make moves, potentially Bo Bichette or whoever they want to grab. And Castellanos would give you like a potential massive prospect. The other thought too is like, do you potentially? This doesn't help the Phillies though, so I don't know why they do it. But you swap Benintendi for Castellanos and try to run Brooks and left. Like, I don't know. Like,
Well, I'm going to say this right now. Benintendi's arm doesn't play in left field. It sure as hell ain't going to play in right field.
well, right, but so Benintendi would play left for the
Ah,
Phillies
I see what you're
because
saying.
yeah, um, yeah, Castellanos is weird. I don't know, but the Phillies can't play him at DH, so like his outfield is horrible. I get it. Talkman makes way too much sense. Like I said, Hayes has been brought up. Um, there's a world where it's just Kelnick and Everson Pereira. Who knows? But no, there's another group of interesting right fielders. Right fielders have been pretty cheap. The market hasn't been horrible on them this year. Um, so I think there's potentially some interest there to get something done with somebody that's available. Um, but
Yeah, I've heard
like,
Max
I don't
Kepler
know.
tossed around a little bit.
Well, Kepler is not available.
Right.
Do you not hear about him? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, there's always like Kyle Tucker. Like, just make the splash sign and go get Tucker and let's all do okay.
Sure. I mean, this is the time that we expect, before the 2027 lockout. This is the time we expect the White Sox to break the bank and throw out a 7-year, $200 million contract, right?
He's already in Chicago. Don't let him leave.
So I mean, and I'm actually scrolling through the list right now, and there are a couple guys. Obviously, again, we've talked about Talkman a lot. Like he just makes sense because you can probably get him for like under $3 million, and if you got to platoon him out there, you platoon him, right?
All right.
And again, guy who quietly has done decent things for the amount of money that he's making, and he's a well loved guy. Brings a lot of energy to the clubhouse, from what I understand. And just one of those guys that kind of mentors some of the young guys as well too. So you can't really ask for much there. Harrison Bader is a name I've heard tossed around a little bit. What do you think of that one?
Gross. Too much money. A name that I'm kind of interested in is Randall Grichuk. Had a down year with the Royals. Didn't play a whole ton. It wasn't good, but he was fantastic in 24. Huge, huge season in 24. Like, if you're looking for a bounce back candidate, the defense isn't great and right, but the arm's good enough. I don't know. Like, Grichuk makes a lot of sense as kind of this see if you can't bring him up and flip him at the deadline, because I think the Sox are looking for a 1-year deal, and right, because you have a feeling that Braden could be up at the deadline. I mean, that was kind of the whole thought with Talkman is Talkman plays the first half. If he plays well, you flip him at the deadline, bring up Montgomery. Obviously, he's a prospect. You have to wait to see if that plays out. But that was kind of my whole thought behind it. But Grichuk makes a lot of sense for them. But I don't know. Again, you have to convince one of these veterans to come to a bad team for $2 million. I just don't know if he's going to do it.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard Michael Conforto.
Ugh.
I don't see right. First off, not real big on him. Second off, I don't see him taking a cheap contract, a proven contract at 33 years old. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you could have gotten Conforto when he was playing on a team that was, just absolutely stacked with outfielders and, was coming off one of his better seasons. And you could say, okay, we can offer this guy a 3 or 4 year deal at, 18, 20 a year or whatever it was, whatever he was looking for back then. He just hasn't been the same, dude. And he's not a spring chicken anymore, right? He's on the wrong side of 30. Hasn't really produced. I think he was under one WAR last season and just not the guy. Now, I'm going to toss a name out there that I think you can get cheap. Is a little bit younger than Michael Conforto, but might be a little bit of a project. Alex Verdugo. Alex Verdugo only played, I don't know, like half the season maybe last year. After, I think it picked up by Atlanta, I believe. And just didn't do well on either the offensive side or the defensive side, which is unusual for him because he's usually considered, like a top defender. Guys, he's a really, really good defender and has produced at the plate in the past. Is this a guy do we can see coming into the White Sox who have put all this new staff in place and are, out there trying to fix people's approach to the plate because that was one of the biggest things that he struggled with and why he couldn't produce. Is he a guy that we take a shot on and see if we can fix him? And if we can, and he comes out and has a decent first half, can turn out to be one of those trade pieces, one of those flippable pieces because he's only like 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love Verdugo. I don't know. I'd rather run with Kelnick and Pereira than Verdugo, I think. But it's another thing. But it's not an insane thought. What level do the Sox want in right field? Do they want a project that they think they can flip, or do they want someone established who's just going to be all right? I don't know what the thought is there, because the Sox are out of projects. If you look at the 26, Kelnick's a project, but again, Kelnick's not even like a roster. He's not on the roster. Pereira's potentially a fix, but I don't know, Mead, I guess, but Mead's also still really young. So they're out of projects. There's no more projects, which is a good sign for this team. That means that they have enough talent, but I just don't know what their thought is on projects.
Yeah, I don't either. Again, this is a crapshoot at this point in time. Especially when we're talking about keeping the budget probably not much more. We're trying to hover in the area where it is right now. So, I mean, if we're looking at adding pitchers and maybe one position player, before we get rolling here, what are we talking about? We're talking about maybe spending another $5 million.
Yeah.
Your options are extremely limited, and I'm just kind of tossing names out there that I feel like they can, at least take a chance on and not have to
Yeah.
put up big dollars. And if they can get things to turn around, they can get them to turn around. If they can't, they don't. And you go with what you have available to you.
Verdugo
My
might be an NRI too.
Well,
Sorry, I
and
didn't mean
that's
to
what I'm
cut you off.
saying. I wouldn't give him an MLB contract.
Right.
I would give him a minor league contract with non-roster invitee. See what what you can get out of him with all of the new staff that you have, because it was only a couple years ago that the White Sox were there were minor leaguers complaining in spring training that they were getting no coaching whatsoever because the coaches were spending all their time with the guys on the MLB roster.
Yeah.
That's a staffing problem. That's huge. You should have somebody that you can lean on as a 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old guy in the minor league system who's trying to work his way up, and you're at spring training. You've been invited to spring training because they feel like they have something in you, and yet you get ignored.
Yeah.
So this is the direction, and this is like, I don't know how many people know this. Which is why I'm bringing it up right now. They have increased those staff numbers by a
By a
lot.
lot. Yeah.
By a lot. It isn't just these hitting coordinators and directors that we're talking about, or pitching coordinators and pitching directors we're talking about. And yes, a lot of these guys in the White Sox organization still wear a lot of different hats, right? You know, they're biomechanics guys, they're strength and conditioning guys, on top of, being a hitting coordinator or a hitting coach or whatever it is that they do, right? So, it's just a thought of, why not? If you don't have the prospects available, and if you can get some of these guys that have MLB experience, even if you got to stash them down in Charlotte for a little while, nobody else is offering them a contract, right?
Yeah.
They're going to play somewhere. You're 30 years old. You're not ready to hang it up. You're going to play somewhere. You might be able to get them cheap, stash them somewhere, and hope you get the best out of them. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate Verdugo like you mentioned, but I just don't know. Like, I don't know.
Hey, look, I'm not
I
saying
don't
it's the
know.
best solution. Again,
Yeah.
this is not, this is not like my oh my god wish list. You know what I mean? This is me playing GM as best I possibly can with fake numbers that we're not even sure about, and fake money. So,
Yeah. Wolf mentions this in the comments. A team full of 24-year-olds has never won anything. At some point, one of these vets has to stick, not a sign of trade. I mean, the thing is, like, that's true. And, like, eventually they will bring in veterans on big contracts. They've done it before. You look at some of the pitching additions, Lance Lynn, Dallas Keuchel, Gross, Grandal, Gross again. Like they do have a history of Jerry, when the team is ready, will spend some money on some free agents. Benintendi. It was just the issue was we signed the worst free agents. Jerry's issue isn't that he won't spend; it's that he won't spend on like the big pieces. Like when the Sox were contending, they had a top 10, or they were in the top 10, I think, in payroll in baseball. Like they do spend, they just spend on band-aids instead of like actual pieces.
yeah, that, and they spent like $50 million or more on a bullpen one season. Like,
Shout out Joe Kelly.
that's a third of your yeah, exactly. That's a third of what their payroll was at that time
Yeah,
on bullpen.
yeah,
And not to mention that some of those guys in the bullpen were on like $1 and $2 million contracts. They signed a bunch of big dollar bullpen pieces that really just
Graveman.
didn't work out.
There's a lot of them. Yeah, Liam
I
was the
mean,
only one that hit. If you're gonna spend on a bullpen, you better spend on a closer, and that's it.
yeah, and I mean nobody saw Liam, ending up with Hodgkin's
Right. Yeah.
lymphoma,
Yeah.
and
Right.
having to battle cancer, and
No, Liam was.
that
Yeah.
but he, when he was healthy, he
Yeah.
was worth every dime.
100%. No, Liam is an overall success in Chicago. Hope he feels the same way about the Sox, but yeah, no. But like all those other ones, like Graveman, Kelly. Graveman might have been cheap. I don't know. I don't remember how Graveman got here. Anyway, that's not what we need to do right now. But yeah,
No, no, not at all. I don't really like the idea of that either. And I even seen, like Jamie says, that he'd rather send out some of the guys that are in our system than waste money on a bunch of junk. And look, man, again, like I'm just throwing fake money around and fake ideas around. It's not my money, so I really don't care. Obviously, it's going to be one of those. It's one of those shows where we're just trying to piece together what last minor little holes are available, and your guys' guests in the chat and everywhere else are probably just as good as ours as to where they're going to go. Obviously, the youth movement is still a thing. here,
Yeah.
right? And it came together nicely in the second half of the season. I don't know where we're at on the Robert thing. Jake and I talked about this before we started the show today, and we talked about it probably a month and a half ago. We knew that this was going to be a thing. It's going to be a reoccurring. It's not going to go away until either the season starts and Luis Robert Jr. is still wearing a White Sox uniform, or until a trade actually happens. Which the closer we get to camp, the more and more likely I feel like it is that he stays. I feel like it's probably already been predetermined that he stays because nobody's offering what the White Sox want. So unless something happens, we can talk about all the Yankees. The Yankees, Yankees, Yankees is all I've been hearing the last week and a half or so. They're so interested. The White Sox bloggers seem to be fixated on the Phillies. I don't really know. It is what it is, but I don't think. I just don't think. I don't think that he's going anywhere. But at the same time, we have to at least discuss what the potential replacements are. And
Yeah.
right now, it looks like Pereira.
Yeah. Robert's not going to get traded before the season unless the Yankees come together with a crazy deal. Um, the issue I think Robert's going to have is you have to wait. The Yankees will have to wait for um, Bellinger to sign somewhere because the Sox are going to want the pick um, that the Yankees get back for the qualifying offer. So that pick, I believe, is tradable, and the Sox will want that pick. But to get that pick, Bellinger would have to sign. So apparently, Robert's a backup option if Bellinger doesn't go anywhere, but I have no idea. Um, we're just kind of waiting it out. I don't. Robert's not going to move. I really don't think Robert's. Now there are some trades that I think could happen, like Corey Lee, um, Lenny Sosa could be on the move. I hope not. Um, I mean, there's like other guys that could go, but I don't think Robert's gonna like. And potentially one of the three starting pitchers, I guess Martin or Cannon goes somewhere. I don't know. Um, but yeah, like there's just not enough in me that thinks that Robert's going anywhere.
No, and like I said, Pereira is probably the guy early on. Braden Montgomery, later when they decide he's ready. Although, there's some fighting going on in the chat right here, and I'm not going to go through it all. Listen, if you're listening in podcast form, maybe you want to jump over to YouTube later on and go ahead and turn on the live stream comments part of that show. But there's some interesting stuff happening in the chat right now, and I will just bring up one comment here because honestly, Uncle Ted, we love you for checking in, but this is absolutely ridiculous. Are you trying to tell us that Braden Montgomery blows?
He's
Dude,
1 year after breaking his ankle, tearing it into shreds, and I want to get rid of him. But hey,
I mean,
then
dude, like,
we live in a free country.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna say you're wrong or you're right, but you're wrong. I mean,
He could blow. To be completely fair, he could be a
he
bust.
can.
But I don't think I don't know. 1 year after him exploding his leg, I don't know if I want to jump to a conclusion like that.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see more. And I'm sure that's what the White Sox are going to say too. They're going to want to see more. He's not coming up at the beginning of the season like so many fans want to see. It's just not going to happen. But you know, yeah. But the arguments continue in the chat. And again, I'm not gonna highlight any of this. If you are listening, go check it out. It's fun. We have a good time here. But yeah, man. I mean, unfortunately, the news cycle is slow right now. So
Yeah, there's not much going on.
outside of throwing some ridiculous stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, it's pretty much what we got this week. Hopefully the news cycle starts to turn a little bit here, and we'll have more for you. But I think unless you got anything else, man, we can probably wrap it up.
Unless you want to talk Romo, but that's the only.
Oh yeah, we could talk Drew.
That there's not much there.
Go ahead, throw out what you got.
I'll say this. It's been said on podcasts before ours. I mean, I think it's a good deal. I think he makes a lot more sense as a third catcher than Corey does. And that's why I mentioned Corey Lee as a trade piece because, like, Lee is fun. Like, there's pop there. There's a potential, like, good hitter there. Somebody might, like, take a chance. Shout out Northeastern University. Anyway, now I can see that stupid dog.
Oh my God, it is off the rails in here in the chat tonight, folks. Let me tell you. Okay, we're having a good time.
See, the thing is, though, Uncle Ted, Drew Romo can catch. That's the whole part. Like, he's a good defensive catcher. He just blows at the plate. I hate to burst your bubble, but yeah, I don't know. He's a fun third catcher. I don't know if he makes the team. He'll probably be like if Teal or if Teal or Jesus.
I mean, come on, man. Guys, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even gonna get into this in the live right now. You have to go. Like, seriously, if you're listening, you gotta just go watch the YouTube video. Unbelievable. Oh, you guys are killing me tonight, dude. So yeah, Sonya Massey. Thank you for that, Jeff. Much appreciated. Yeah, man. You know what? Let's just get on to hot takes and haters, buddy. What you got for us this week?
You go first. Hold on, I'm trying to find something.
My heater is this chat right now, dude. I'm gonna leave it at that. This is I'm bro. I've had dry eyes all day to the point where they're dry, itchy, red. I can't stop rubbing them, and I thought to myself, man, you just got to make it through this show, dude. They're nice and moist now because I'm damn near crying.
It's horrible.
Ian says this is fun. I do love. Jamie says, you know what? He loves this. Let's just keep it going just because. I mean, if I'm down to hang out, if you're down to hang out.
I don't care. No, my hot take is that this is the best logo of all time if I can get it on the screen. This is the dog I was thinking of when I heard of Northeastern University.
Yeah.
Great logo. Looks mildly sedated. And yeah, that's what I was thinking of. There's been some bad logos, and that's one of them. Dolander is a 108 guy. DeGrom 2.0. We're getting some takes.
Yeah.
We should just have Uncle Ted fire hot takes all night.
Yeah, I mean, Tossed has had some words. Ted's had some words. I mean, Southside Jeff comes in here and starts throwing names around. You know, I
almost want it to just be like a spectator sport.
Ian says Dolander sits behind foul poles as in a reference to the 108. Like, this is all right. Wolf's got a hot take for us. He says Lenine is spotted with an outfielder's glove in his locker day one of spring training.
Good hot take, Wolf. I agree with it. Or potentially, I could see it happening. They've got to move one of them. There's too many infielders. The issue is, though, there's too many outfielders. Like Pereira, Brooks. That's 4, including Benintendi and Robert.
There's too many mediocre.
Yeah, not good outfielders.
Right. That's
like is Lenine a good outfielder? I don't know. But that's not a bad take at all. They have to. Lenine could get traded too, which is unfortunate.
There's too
I've
many.
Called him Marcus Simeon 2.0 and too many times on the show.
Listen. It's no secret that I am a fan, and I've been watching him since he was, just a wee lad, and I think he needs you. Got to give him one more. He's 25, dude. You got to give him one more season to see what you really got in him and see if he can take another step. He started to do it at the end of last season. I'm just hankering for one more shot to see if he can get his pitch selection right. Maybe lay off some of the bad pitches that he hits and, take a walk every now and again and see some better pitches. And we might get 25 plus home runs out of him as a second baseman. Right. I just don't ever want to see him play first base again, ever. And thank God for Mooney. We don't have to worry about that.
Ian mentions Corey Lee in left field. I raise you Ryan Noda in right field. Um, Uncle Ted says
Ooh.
raid the rebuilding teams. Unfortunately, we are a rebuilding team.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't know what there's really left of raid out there for the White Sox, especially when we're talking about being at the top end of what has been talked about as, you know, the White Sox payroll for the year. So,
Rock has a horrible schedule. You'll see UCLA's away schedule is awful. I think the closest he gets to is Michigan State, which is not close to here. Shout out Ishbia Field though. Um,
Uncle Ted, what are you talking about? 45 errors? Are we talking about Lenine? Because he didn't. He had 4 at second base last year. 4. I'm just going to repeat that. 4. Everybody is so hard on that guy. He had a bunch at first and a few at shortstop, but at second base he was pretty solid. So, and I will agree with this. Ian Eskridge, our very own Ian Eskridge, he says Ryan Noda was worse for range, but Corey Lee has a stone glove. He has played some outfield. I don't know that that keeps him on the major league roster. We shall see how that plays out. I don't really know, but having 4 catchers on the 40 man it's a bit much.
yeah, I mean they had what 6 in camp though last year between Theis, the other guy, Caro, Teal, Lee.
Yeah,
Who am
in
I?
camp,
Yeah,
sure.
they had a bunch. Not that they're going to make the team. Like Romo's going to probably start in Charlotte, even
Right.
if Corey's traded. I think Corey's going to start in Charlotte. I don't. Here's maybe a hot take. I don't think they'll have 3 catchers on the 26 man to begin the year.
No, they probably shouldn't. I think that'll probably be something that again, much like last year, will happen organically when it's time for it to happen. And I think that's all going to come down to again which one of these guys steps up, which one possibly gets traded away, and whether or not we have an everyday DH or a platoon that can pull their weight. So I don't know, man. Paulie Shore for Sosa. Grant Paulie. Yeah. I don't know. Anywho, we have thrown our hot takes and our haters out there. The chat has thrown a few, and the chat has gotten
That's
awful
on here.
lively in the second half of this show. So I am just going to go ahead and thank you guys for that and keeping me. Oh, my ear's killing me. By the way,
Ear infection back?
I don't know. I'm hoping not,
I'm not. Ear
but
infections suck.
yeah, and it's been one of those ones I told you I've been fighting it for forever and a day. It just seems to go and come back. So let's not get into that. But anywho, uh, it's been interesting. We appreciate you guys. I think it's time to wrap it up. You guys have been absolutely awesome for keeping us laughing and entertained. Again, I can't stress this enough. If you are not watching us live, you should come back and check out the recorded show on YouTube
Just fast
and
forward.
yeah, and get to the points where you can see the live comments and have fun, enjoy yourselves with that. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, man. Anything else, Jake?
Lenine Sosa for Jaron Duran. That's what we're leading on.
All right, we'll go ahead and
To add
wrap
to
it
the
up
chat.
right there.
Yes, we will.
All right. Well, as fun as it's been, it is time to bid you all adieu. Thanks, Uncle Ted. It has been a great stream, and we appreciate you for being a part of it. We appreciate our chat as usual. If you guys have not already done so, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, tell your friends, grab your sons, grab your daughters, get them on that. But yeah, if you can't donate financially to us, it helps us immensely with the algos. So we appreciate you on that. As far as written content, you can find all that stuff on FutureSox.net as well as exclusive content. And our new line of merch has been launched. You can find that there or on Fourth Wall. Check that stuff out. As you all know, we are now proud partners with the Just Baseball Media Network. So big thanks to those guys as well. Uh, we'll see you guys soon. Check out our shows every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Most every Wednesday at 8 p.m., I should say. But until next time, it's been fun. We'll see you next Wednesday. And as always, go White Sox.